All right, so 70.3 Oregon. I'm going to do a race recap video of how that went this past weekend in case you're interested in watching. For some of you who have followed me for a while, you know that I did this race in 2024, so I was familiar with the race, with the course and all that kind of stuff. But overall, I really didn't have a goal coming into this race. Actually, I was never intending to, it wasn't one of those races where like I have to go back. This is one I want to do again. But I did have 3 athletes that were doing this race. So I really wanted to be out there and support them with that. And, I thought it would be fun to be out there and just, be with the group. So that's one of the reasons I signed up. And comparison with like race morning throughout the whole thing. So race morning in 2024, when I got there before Transitioned opened, there was already like a small line of people waiting to get in. And that was in 2024. And without pulling up the data, I'm not sure how many were 2024, but it was a good amount. And this year, comparable though, when I parked before 5 a.m. and started walking to Transition, it was a little bit before 5. And there was already quite a few people either getting dropped off or walking to Transition at that time. And as I was walking up, they were letting people in, and it was like a wave of people. Like it was compared to the ones I've done before. And yes, granted, I do end up going back to the same events, but the ones I have done for 70.3s, this one just seems like a lot more people so early in the morning. And just because, it's a bigger event, I think a lot of people race this one. And, you do want to be there, earlier because it is a 1.2 mile walk down to the swim start. So just logistics like that. It kind of feels like race morning's a little bit more time crunch and chaotic. So as soon as I walked in, people were already at their bikes, already setting up. So it did feel a little bit chaotic. So my goal right away was just to get my section set up so I could go check on my athletes, see where they were. And then one of my athletes was going to let me borrow their pump because I didn't bring mine. I didn't travel with it. I didn't want to deal with it since my Sherpa wasn't there. But so I set up my stuff, saw one athlete, checked on her, went to borrow the pump. And then with my tires, my front one aired up fine. And then my back one was giving me some issues with getting the air in there. I don't know if the valve was clogged or not, but it seemed to hold the air. So I know I needed to get his pump back to him. So I, got that back where it needed to go. And just to be safe, after I did some other things, I took my bike over to the fence where some of the other pumps were. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but I noticed that this race, there's not a lot of extra pumps as there are other races. I don't know if it's just the area that I'm always set up in, but I feel like there's not a lot of spare pumps like there usually is. Like I know Boulder, it's like a pump, every so often. But I ended up finding this pump that did have a gauge on it, and I wanted to double check, and it seemed like the pressure was holding okay. So, I finished up with that, and I said, okay, well, I'm just going to have to just leave it as is instead of trying to mess with it and see what's going on. I could just feel like something was wrong with it. But did that. I was going to meet my athletes and some friends at the swim exit so we could all walk down together. That ended up not happening just because so many people, they had the volunteers holding the signs for our estimated swim finish times, and they were, lining us up to walk down there. I still wanted to make a line for the porta potty, and so I found one of my athletes, and I was like, go ahead and start walking down there with your time group, and then, I'll try to find you when I get down there. And like I said, it's a 1.2 mile walk down to the swim start. So I knew I had time, but I didn't want to go too far behind because walking down, the closer you get, it gets a little bit congested. So trying to work your way through people and everything can be a pain. So by the time, I got down there, I had to fast walk, and it was a good amount of people had gone. All the people were gone. So I wasn't worried because, your time doesn't start till your chip crosses that mat. But still, I didn't want to have to navigate through all the people. I did find one of my athletes, wished her luck, and then other than that, I couldn't find anyone else. And by the time I got to the morning clothes bag drop off, the volunteers, I guess, had put the signs away, and so I didn't know where my estimated swim finish time was. Now remember, with the downriver swims, you need to line up with your estimated normal swim, flat water, finish time group, not your estimated downriver, okay? So I was looking for around the 45-minute group. I asked some people like, hey, what's your estimated swim finish time? But people were spread out everywhere, and some people didn't know either on, where their group was. So I kind of got up into a higher ground part, and I was looking for the people I knew. I was like, okay, well, I know these people are going to be around, my time. So if I can find my people, I can probably find my estimated swim finish group. Had no luck with that. I kept moving up because I didn't know how far behind I was. I didn't know if those groups had already started or not. And I think I walked up a little too far because I did end up starting way sooner than my people. So whoops, started too soon, my bad. But I feel like with those downriver swims, it wasn't, I didn't impact anyone else and no one, swam over me or anything. I do feel like those downriver swims are a little bit more spread out. From Tri-Cities to Oregon to Sacramento, I've never experienced the mass amount of contact I do with other races like Texas and stuff like that. So, that wasn't an issue. But yes, I did start a little bit too soon. So stuff started to go a little bit chaotic for me right away as soon as I started the swim. First off, told all my athletes, take your tinted goggles, all that kind of stuff, because the sun's going to be on our face. What did I do? For some reason, I grabbed my clear goggles out of my morning clothes bag where I was holding all my stuff instead of my tinted. And why? I don't know. Like I said, I felt like my morning was a little bit chaotic from the start, but had those, and it was too late to go grab my other ones because I had already, dropped off my morning clothes bag. So I was like, well, we're just going to roll with it. Okay. So walk down and go off the dock. I get ready to go off the dock into the water, feet first. Okay. I don't know what happened, but I go feet first, but then I don't know if I hesitated, but then the front of my body goes like this. So I do like a belly flop into the water. Belly flop. I'm laughing in my head because I'm imagining maybe people behind me that saw that are laughing. So I hope someone got a laugh out of it because I did. So belly flopped in, start swimming. Almost right away, my goggles start leaking. It's like, great. Leaky goggles, the worst. So start going, and I tried to adjust them as I was going, and it just wasn't happening. So I stopped for a minute. The good thing is, even when I was treading water, the river's still carrying me down, which was nice, but I didn't want to, I wanted to take advantage of all that extra time. So I tried to fix it, put them back on, got going, only like a few strokes in, happened again. I stopped probably 2 times to mess with that. And then finally I was like, F it. I'm just going to let this water seep in. I can't see anyway. The sun's in my eyes. So it was one of those, just roll with it, see what happens. It's not like I'm going to get off course because it's going straight down. I just got to make sure to sight my way into that last turn as we get down there. So I ended up, the way I started floating down, it was more to the left instead of closer to the buoys. So I do think that gave me a little bit of extra speed with that current, because in the years past, when I did it in 2024, I think I hugged the buoy line a little tighter. So I do think I lost some free speed on that. So this year I was a little more to the left. And I didn't want to waste energy going back in until either a volunteer told me something, or because I wasn't too far to the left, but since I couldn't see in front of me, I just was looking at the colors of the buoys as they were going. So once I hit the orange, I knew just to kind of try my best to keep sighting for what I could. I couldn't really see any buoys ahead of me, so I tried to see where the bridge was, at least the silhouette of it. So I knew that turn was coming up to the swim finish. So, other than the leaky goggles, the sun in my eyes, the swim was great. Water temp was 71. Perfect water temperature for my sleeveless. And everything went pretty smooth. Like I said, contact, there was really no contact. I had a swimmer close to me one time just for a brief second. I swam close by some other ones, And I mean, that was it. There was nothing really, I never got kicked, hit, nothing like that. And like I said, with all the downriver swims I've done before, it feels like it's more spaced out than the other swims that I do. So loved that. Got out of the water, and I was ready for T1, and transition on this one's a little longer. It's not quite half a mile, but we get out of the water, run around, and we have to go all the way into transition. So my transition one was faster than when I did it in 24, but as soon as I got my wetsuit down, I had a wardrobe malfunction. So my tri-kit, the zipper, when the zipper kind of like, it's zipped, but then it kind of comes apart, and so it's like not quite zipped all the way. So for those of you who kind of know, my journey and stuff, I am very self-conscious about my stomach. Used to be overweight. I have a lot of just body image stuff with my stomach. So my stomach was showing because that zipper had opened up. So instead of my, what I was planning on doing, getting my wetsuit down to my hips, ready for the wetsuit peelers, as soon as I ran up the ramp and discovered that it was open, I was mortified, which is sad to say because, this was my 14th half Ironman event, and to feel shame, it kind of it hit me a little bit. So I started walking the transition because I was messing with it, trying to hold it together so people couldn't see my stomach. And I was trying to fix the zipper, but to fix the zipper, I was going to have to get the zipper all the way down and kind of feed it back. So I just was holding it together, and then I didn't want to miss the wetsuit peelers. So, I just held it together, got down, and kind of let them take it past my hip or get it down the rest of the way. And again, once they got it off, I was still trying to mess with it. I wasn't planning on stopping at the porta potty in transition because since it was a faster swim, I didn't really have to use the restroom like I normally do in T1, but I was like, I need to get this fixed. So when I got in transition, I did go in the porta potty, utilized that, and then fixed the zipper. So even with all that chaos, the kind of mental aspect of it, I kind of gathered my composure, and it ended up being a swim PR, obviously with the downriver swim, if you want to count that as a swim PR, but my time for the swim was 23:20. So that was faster than in 2024, and it was faster than Tri-Cities. So fast swim on that one. And then actually with the wardrobe malfunction, and my T1 actually ended up being a little faster than it was in 24. So that was nice. By the time we got out on the bike, the first part of the bike, I was like, all right, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm actually maybe thinking I can get close to a 3 or a sub 3. I was like, a lot of my sub 3s have only been on the bike for Boulder. And I think when they used to have 70.3 Lubbock, I think one of my Lubbock times was a sub 3 as well. So I was like, that'd be great if I could get a sub 3 on a different course. So I kind of had it in my mind that maybe that was doable. Not quite. Even with the hills, I felt like, I could still make it. But we did end up getting some headwind, especially on the way back, and I was like, yeah, this isn't happening. So I kind of took it for what it was. Overall, the bike was, it's a pretty bike. The hills aren't too bad. There's a few good climbs in there, nothing horrific, but my time was 3:07:05, so I was fine with that. There was quite a few accidents. It was a crowded bike course, especially through the aid stations. Sometimes there was vehicles that some of us got stuck behind. But it was fun. I did have some cramping in that left leg that I have that issue with. Same thing happened in Boulder. So I just had to take it easy sometimes when I felt that sensation like it was about to cramp up. And then by the time I was on my on the last hour for my third bottle of hydration and my carb intake in there, my stomach started doing something weird, and I was like, ugh, this is gonna suck for the run. So I tried to get down what I could, but didn't want to force it. So I kind of fell behind on carbohydrates on that last hour of the bike. And other than that, nothing really eventful happened for myself on the bike. That back tire did fine, so I was happy that that didn't flat or do anything crazy like that. So rolled up to the dismount line, came off the bike, and T2 pretty smooth. I mean, that's just I did utilize the porta potty again, as I always do before I head out on the run course, and my transition 2 was a little faster than 2024, and headed out on the run. And then for the run, right away I noticed I was feeling okay. Like my normal leg pain that I usually have in that left leg wasn't as bad as it usually is. So I was like, okay, well, maybe this run will be pretty good. And actually for the first 4 or 5 miles, I have to look at my splits, I was holding like mid 9s. So I was like pleased with that, and I felt pretty good. And I was grateful that, you know, majority of the run course is shaded on those 2 loops, because, you know, when we entered the sun, when it was exposed, it was hot. So I'm glad that we had that shade to help us, because that, I think, really contributed to my run. But the only problem that I faced during the run was some GI issues. So this is something that I've dealt with. I do have a fructose intolerance and some other things going on that I need to dig more into for my nutrition aspect for these endurance events. But with the first mile, you know, I got a gel in, and right away, like, stomach distress, like stomach cramping was bad, and I just knew like I couldn't force. I think I ended up getting another gel down, but I knew if I kept doing that, it was not going to be pretty. So I just did what I could and kind of ran on fumes the last, I don't even know, it was more than the last 10K, but the stomach issue hurt pretty bad on some points. And then of course, since I was, you know, had no carbohydrates in me, when I tried to keep picking up the pace, my legs just started to feel really heavy, and I couldn't get that turnover like I had in the first 4 miles or so. So my pace did kind of slow a little bit. There was a few splits in the low 10s, but then I knew, like, if I kept that pace, I might be able to hit that sub 50. So on the last mile, I gave it what I could, but then when we reached, because there's a sign that says second lap or then to the finish. So I went to the finish, and then when I saw the bridge eventually, I did try to pick it up for what I could. I looked at my watch at the overall time, and, you know, the closer I got, I was like, I got a couple minutes, so I don't know if I'm going to make this. I don't even know if my watch is close to my actual chip time, if I hit the buttons right when I started. So I just kind of gave it what I could to the finish line, and, you know, stopped the watch. And then once I saw my final results, I did get that final finish time of, what was it, 5:49.39. So I did my sub 550. So I was happy with that. And my run, even though with the GI issues, the heavy legs at the end, I still did my half marathon in 2:08.42, which I was pleased with that. My run volume has been lower lately, and so it's nice to see that my run times for triathlon at least have been getting a little faster for those splits on there. So I was happy with that, and it was a faster time than what I did in 2024. So was the bike as well, if I mention that, even with the headwind, because in 24 I don't remember us having that much wind. So I was pleased overall with my performance. But yeah, so I mean, it's a great course if you haven't tried it. Really fun. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions about this race, and thanks for listening. On to the next.